Hello and welcome everyone in another episode of Researcher Celebrity. Today we have Dr. Siddharth Singh with us as our Researcher Celebrity. Our Dr. Siddharth's brief introduction is he has done his bachelor's in biotechnology from Magadhi University, Patna, Bihar. For masters, he attended Thapar University in Patiala, Punjab, and then for PhD, he joined National Dairy Research Institute, Karnal, and did his PhD in animal biotechnology. Following PhD, he joined academia for a while at Lovely Professional University as an assistant professor, and then got a renowned fellowship in India, NPDF, which is National Postdoctoral Fellowship, awarded by DST Serb, and worked at NCCS Pune. Then moved to Germany and joined Helmholtz Center for Infectious Disease and for infection research, and now currently are Chief Manager at BioNEST Incubation Center at IIT Patna, Bihar, India. With this brief introduction, I would like to welcome Dr. Siddharth. Thank you so much, and we are happy to have you as our researcher celebrity.
Thank you. Thank you for the nice introduction, and I'm very happy to be a part of your, podcast. And it's a privilege. Yeah, it's a privilege to be here. Thank you. Thank you for having me.
Great. So, thanks for the kind words. And now let's start the conversation. We always ask this question that how and when you decided that you want to become a researcher.
So after my schooling, and when I was in 12th, so usually in Bihar and many places in India, so people who take biology, they have the craze, and they are sometimes inoculated by their parents and the relatives also to become a doctor. So, and I often say my juniors also that Biharis have a sports state sports of tayari karne ka, you have to keep preparation. So I also prepared for medical, and a medical preparation. It went on. Sometimes pre used to get qualified, but the mains didn't happen. But one of my cousins, one of my distant cousins, who lives in Delhi, one time I went there for an exam, and she told me that, "What do you want to do later in your life?" And I told, I didn't have any idea what would a 12th class student have an idea about research. But somehow I had an inkling about research, and I will tell you a bit later about that also. So she told me, I told that I want to do research. So she said, why waste your years for a bachelor's degree course? Because you won't be able to do research just after that. You will have to do a PhD or a MD after that. So that made me think, and then once I come back, I started looking for what are the options. But the reason how I came into research is because while preparing for this medical exams, I used to from my window I used to look at a spider mom who had like 21 or 22 little kids. I don't know what to call them. So, but she was very, although she has eight, legs, but she was very curiously and interestingly, she used to manage them. So that was very curious for me. So with eight legs, 22 or 22, 21, kids, small kids, she could manage them. And that was very interesting for me. I used to watch it for, hours. That was my first inkling towards research. And once this happened during my, as I said, just mentioned, with my cousin, she suggested me to look for other options. I went into this. I looked for BSc Biotechnology course. One of my friend, Dr. Saurabh Sanjay, he also searched for it. And then we decided, okay, BSc Biotechnology seems to be a good option. And also, it's a lifelong, learning exercise. I enjoy learning, studying, and apart from academia and outside also. So yeah, that's how it started, and it became more more potent, more stronger as I started. I think from my second year in BSc Biotechnology, we were very clear that we would want to continue in this field. So that's why I did from BSc, MSc, and then also, even though I went for a job in between, but then I decided to go for full-time PhD, and that's why I ended up there. That's my
So, like
reason.
you're
Yeah.
one of those early career, like early researchers who at very early stage in their life, like academic life, were dedicated and determined that they want to pursue this as, full time research. Because as you mentioned, for most of the biology students, in 11th and 12th, the default is like, okay, we'll prepare for medicine, and then if not selected there, then we'll do bachelor's, and
Yeah,
after that master's. Then for some of them it is very natural to pursue a PhD. For some of them it is like, okay, let's give it a try.
yeah, yeah. So for
So
me, I think it was not my whole decision, my own sole decision. It was a bit of a luck. And as I said, my cousin also, she also inoculated this thing into me. So maybe that's why it became. And being the youngest kid in my, among siblings, I was given this option of choosing. So I was I will call myself lucky that I could choose it. And yeah, it turned out well for me.
so you mentioned that you did a job for a year or so before your PhD.
Yes.
So in India, now this is growing more and more that after your PhD, sometimes the opportunities are limited. Okay,
Yes.
so you already had a job, but you still wanted to pursue research and join PhD. So if you can
Yeah.
share something about those.
Yeah, so I never wanted to do PhD. And so to be very clear, during my masters, I had bad impressions of PhD scholars. I always say that in a PhD, you go inside as a sharp knife, and you come out as a blunt knife. So it's a blunting mechanism, and you should not do it for wrong reasons. So just for getting a degree and just for improved job and all, as we just mentioned, the job opportunities actually go down after that. So here also I was lucky. So I got my job just after my masters. I went into Cellworks Research Private Limited in Bangalore. It's in Whitefield, and they were doing good. They are still doing good, I assume. And the work was also fine. I was in out of 26, I think I was in top five performers. But after 2 months, I realized that maybe I'm doing something very not so challenging, let's say. So I decided, okay, my interest is more into the wet lab, and I assumed that I have good hands in wet lab, and this was a dry lab work. So I started giving interviews in the some of the companies in Bangalore itself because this is in 2010, 2010, 2011. And thankfully, those I'm grateful to those research managers of these labs like Novartis, Biocon, Novozymes or Novo Nordisk. So when I went to them, they took my interview. I was naive enough to just go and hand in my resume, and they were very kind enough and accommodating to take my interview. But after interview, they would tell me, "The see, we'll be happy to take you, but if you want to stay in wet lab, you will have a glass ceiling above you after 5 or 6 years, because then by the time more PhDs will come in with more experience. Excuse me, sorry, and they would be your seniors or put as a you're in charge, and that will be a problem. So you will have your salary will keep increasing, or your post will not, and that will be dissatisfying for you. So bache beta tum chote bhai ho, you go for a PhD first. So that gave me the initial push. That see, I mean, I wanted to just go into industry right now, but now they're pushing me to do PhD. So I left that job, and a few of my seniors from NDRI, so they had opened a company that was a startup, and I am not from a Tata Birla, lineage. So I started joined there as a research officer, and the deal was that we will develop some kits, and I will simultaneously do my PhD. Just from there itself. So, but somehow it didn't work out. I mean, so I decided, okay, and luckily I started giving exams, entrance exams, and I got into this NDRI Karnal. I had All India rank third there, so I could get a seat there. So I decided, okay, I should go full time into PhD, not company and these things. And we'll see it a bit later. And luckily, since I had a good rank, I could choose. my research to be in proteins, which I really wanted to do. And I also got a good guide, Dr. Kumar Kaushik. I would proudly mention him. And I could do work which is relevant to industry, or it is could be put out as a product. So yeah, that's how it went through.
So
But yeah,
now, so now
yeah,
for the young
the first option.
enthusiasts who are
Yeah, sorry.
thinking to join the PhD, I would like to know the path which you chose. That okay, you now are in an option to choose. Then,
Yes.
what were the things which you considered before committing to a lab?
Yeah, so the primary thing is, see, the commitment is from your side. And having left two jobs before my PhD, I was thinking that I might have a commitment problem, which often happens, at that stage, which I didn't know, but it was very clear. So, uh, first, you have to commit yourself first. That is the first thing. That yes, I'm going to give like 4 to 5 years of my life and most productive life years into research, and it could be any lab. But the main thing is to choose a good guide, and a good guide won't be giving you spoon feeding you. He or she, a good PhD supervisor should be challenging you, because PhD is a formative years, and even though masters is also a formative years, but it's only 1 year of research, so you have limited time. But in PhD you are free to fail, and your PhD supervisor should be accommodating enough to have that courage and also moral support, of course technical support, so that even if you fail, then you can start again there. Because PhD can happen into all the negative outcomes also. It doesn't matter. It's a training phase which you go through. Some of my seniors used to say that you will see all colors of life when you get into PhD, which I also did. And thanks to my guide also, and also the PhD conditions. So NDRI is a very fantastic place to do it actually. But somehow the construct itself, it actually trains you, for the whole life. And my interest, and also my you can say the outlook towards, or perspective towards PhD, that also changed a lot. Because now, as you mentioned, the PhD job opportunities go less. And even my initial motivation was from those research managers who not selected me but told me to go for a PhD. But now I see it as a enabler, that it enables you to do things on yourself. Because now once you do a PhD, you don't have a job guarantee. It's actually lowers your prospects down. But now you can write your own funding, and you can go to the government or the funding agencies and tell them this is a societal problem which needs to be dealt with, and I am the best person to do it. This is my CV, and this is my publications. And I frankly relate to that very well. That's what I've been doing until now actually. Yeah, so my suggestion to people, in summary, would be to choose a good guide who would challenge you. Funding should be one component, where you are going. There should be some funding, specifically in wet lab. Actually, it's very needed. Also, there should be, the coursework is anyway a UGC guideline, at least in India. So coursework should be there. But there should also be a, whole mechanism, like a formal PhD school, where even though your guide can shift from that institute to a different institute, so you should have a backup, co-advisory committee and those things. Those facilities should be there. It shouldn't be a standalone one-man show for your PhD guide, because he will be knowing very much fine. He is knowledgeable, but he will not be knowing a lot of other things. So those things are really necessary to consider while choosing a lab. And of course you should have your own funding. So
Mhm.
like
It
we
is
are
always good.
yeah, so that you should always have. Yeah.
Absolutely. No, these are the things which I believe now, if any of the audience who are considering to join a lab, that as Dr. Siddharth mentioned, that there are things which you have to be very cautious, because you are going to commit yourself for number of years. And if that lab is not well funded, or the PI is not very giving you challenges, because PhD is a training. And if whatever you lack here, you there is always a possibility that you can get trained, but the time what is lost is not never gonna come back. So always consider these things. And one important thing also, Dr. Siddharth mentioned, is like, if your guide is moving. So now in India, this is coming more and more, that when you have a co-advisory or a board where, if you it is entirely up to you. If you want to move with your guide, obviously, then there is no issues. But if you really want to stick to the same institute for n number of reasons, then if you have these backup plans, that always pays high time. So now, Dr. Siddharth, let's move from PhD. Now, you were, told that, okay, before coming to industry, take this, and now you have that degree. You knew that what you really want to do with that degree. Then the journey from
Yeah.
there till now. Let's talk about that.
Yeah. So, I mean, I did my PhD in the same, like in proteins. So my work was to on probiotic surface proteins and how we can use them to protect from, gastrointestinal or gut pathogens. So it was, and I was also developed it in form of a nutraceutical. So it could be developed as a product. So it's a very good thing for industry. Good, use cases also for that. And I was also, again, I started giving interviews in the last 6 months. I started giving interviews in the companies. But as you mentioned, the prospects were low because now they can get, cheaper, let's say, employees in terms of their pay package from a master's and maybe 1 or 2 years of work they have done. But I will be costly for them. So that was an issue. That was an ongoing thing. I had given few interviews. I didn't wanted to go into sales and marketing. So Biorad and Thermo, there is always there. But I wanted to go into core R&D, which of course is always an issue within India also and outside India also, in Germany also that's an issue. So why I didn't go there is one of the reason is that there were less options. But there was another thing. While I was writing my thesis, usually you do it at after 12 o'clock or 11 o'clock. Then there is no distractions. But there was something in my masters when I was in Thapar University, Patiala. In our hostel, we used to have on the walls, they used to have white fungus from the cement. You might have also seen it at places where there is a hard water, uh, you know, hardness of water issue. So that bogged me always that, okay, this is a fungus for sure, some bacteria also. Similar thing I found in my NDRI hostel. And I plucked it. It was like a stalagmite, very, very tiny, like 6 mm. Plucked it, and somehow I thought, okay, yeah, I would do some research on it. So I was looking at for my whole of my PhD years, but in my fifth year, then when I was writing my thesis, then I saw it on one night. I saw that it is still there, still growing and going down. So I said, when will you do it? And I was missing my wet lab anyway because while writing, you will be doing some stuff. But yeah, this is I was also missing. So that sparked me that okay, let's do it, and I was finding some good results into that. But that was completely out of my mandate and training. I didn't tell my boss also at that time. But once I found some bacteria into it, then I did some sequencing. Then I approached few of the people. Then I approached Professor Yogesh Soche in NCCS Pune. He responded that yeah, it seems like a nice bacteria. So it would be a good idea to work on it. But I said, yeah, that's not my mandate. Here I have to finish my PhD anyway. And I also shared it to my PhD supervisor. So he was also very happy. But of course, it was not a time to invest in it. So Professor Yogesh Choche, he actually suggested me that why don't you apply for a Indian postdoc? So I said it's no use doing a postdoc in India. That was my perception. And also, so there were only two things I was doing: applying for jobs in companies within India, and also outside, India for postdoc, and also for jobs in industry. But when I got this opportunity, I told him that, see, I mean, we can apply. And my work in my PhD was somehow related to antibiotic resistance because we wanted to provide some agents like surface proteins which can be used in place of the antibiotics. So it was going to bring down the use of antibiotics. So it was related to antibiotic resistance. I wanted to work into antibiotic resistance and also some bioinformatics. And Professor Yogesh Soch's lab, so it is an expert. And I didn't know, being a protein guy, I didn't know too much about him. But he responded. He suggested to apply for this, fellowship, National Postdoc Fellowship. And then we discussed. We met few times. We also discussed what to work on. So we started. We thought of working on sewage microbiome, and it's a very interesting thing, which I must mention this. So he asked me that Professor Soche, he asked me a very nice thing. So he asked me, "Are you? I mean, do we have any issue picking up sewage samples?" So I said, "No, I don't have an issue." So he said, "No, but some people have an issue, and that's why I'm not able to find some person to work on it." So I said, "Sir, I mean, we used to play gully cricket, and we don't have pitches and all. So our balls will go into as you're laughing, so you must have done it yourself also, right? so
Yeah.
so your ball will go into that gutter in the sewage, and you don't have any option or time to go and wash the ball and stuff like that. So you will just tap it 3 times, and that is should that is pure, like good to use." So I told him, and he was also laughing. But this is a reality which we have worked on.
Yeah.
So I said, I mean, we don't have any issue. We have been, using it in our day to day. So, and being a scientist, the training we have, it's just a sample. It could be a full sample. It could be anything else. So that's why we applied, and luckily I got selected. So as I said earlier, and yeah, it was very phenomenal. I mean, we started. We intended to take samples, and basic idea was that we want to see antibiotic resistance in Mumbai actually. And since NPDF does not give you too much funds, it gives you like 4 lakhs in 2 years. It's not too much to do your research. But I think I joined in May. In June or July, I had already taken the samples from Mumbai. And me being, I thought I'm young blood, hot blood. I still think so. So I was getting bored in simple sense. So I told him that, the sample has taken. Um, we were thinking of, doing Illumina, but then we were thinking, okay, let's do nanopore or PacBio, next generation sequencing. These technologies were new there. So we wanted, okay, let's negotiate a little bit with the vendors. So it was going on. And meanwhile, I came to for Chhat Puja back into my hometown in Patna. And I thought, okay, Patna is also my city. So I will just take samples from here and we'll see if we can, run it. My college here in College Patna, by the time they had got their centrifuge, so I took samples from here, used some of my local contacts, took sample, did the centrifuge, the initial centrifuge there, and took the samples by flight back to Pune in my lab, and processed it. But while going back, I was thinking, I mean, even though it is only for Mumbai, it would be very nice if I do it for the whole of India.
Mm-hmm.
And that was very ambitious, and I thought I won't be able to do it, but I said, okay, why not try it. And I'm hot blood, I'm young, I will be able to do it. So I started calling all across India, and municipal commissioners across India in different cities. And the first two of them were from Rajasthan and one from Jammu. And they were so encouraging that, beta, aap aa jao. I mean, you come and you'll take samples. Don't even bother for the official permissions. So that was very encouraging. So I started there, and I ended up, taking 22 cities, 22 state capitals across India. So now, and that led to the first sewage microbiome map of India, actually. So that is the first
Nice.
one. Also published in, I think, 10.7 impact factor paper in 2023. It was very nice. I'm very proud of that also. And also for all the support Professor Soche, has given me during that time also. Once it was finishing, then I moved to, I was again I had committed to him that, sir, if I join your lab, I will be there for at least for 1 year, because that is unprofessional. That if I get some postdoc outside or job, so then I move. It's not a good thing. So I said I will stay there. But as I said, since I started this all India trip, then I got my taste of taste of research again. That okay, I would want to keep doing it. And in industry, some many times actually by the construct itself, it's not bad also. But it's just that you will not be that much open into your research mandates. So yeah, I was very much into it that okay, I will keep writing grants and I will keep getting my next positions, and it's perfectly fine. I mean, even though it's not it's not a permanent job, let's say, but it's permanent in the sense if you are good enough, if you think you're passionate enough, and you are hardworking enough, you just need 6 months to get your next position. That's the mantra I have been living with, and that has worked for me. So I moved to Germany with Professor Wolf Bankenfeld at Helmond Center for Infection Research. There I was working on Pseudomonas aeruginosa. In 2 years, that was for 2 years. Then I moved to Leibniz University, Hanover. That was for 3 year project, but I stayed there for 2.5 years. And then I moved to Helmond Institute of One Health in Greifswald. And just after that, anyway, I had to come back to India because it was already 5.5 years in Germany. I have my first child, so he's now 1 year and 3 months old. So we wanted his childhood or his growing up years to with the parents, with the family, and everything. So I wanted to come back. And in 2025, I thought, fine. In December 2025, I will come back. I will open some small business of mine in my hometown here in Patna. But luckily, this IIT Patna Incubation Center, this opportunity came here. That here, and as a chief manager in BioNEST, and that's a funding scheme where you develop a lab, biotechnology lab, and you allow people to, having their own ideas to come and test it. And if it is good enough and it is going well, then they will start a company over there. So I got this option. It's just a godsend opportunity that now I was thinking of coming 1 year later, starting my own business and just, using my skill alone. But now, hopefully, I would be able to, help out 30, 40, or maybe 50 startups. And that would be a very good, it is a good challenge. So it's already like 2.5 months. I now have like 50, 60 more gray hairs. But I'm very tired, very overworked, but very, very, very happy. So professionally, I'm super happy. And of course, the personal stuff, it's very nice also because I'm just living 25 kilometers from my home. So on both fronts, it's super happy and super satisfying. And this is also a temporary job. So the way which I was saying that you just need 6 months. If you're passionate enough, hardworking enough, you just need 6 months for your next job. Here, I think we'll keep continuing it. My current mandate, as I said, to establish a lab here, and we are doing our best efforts to bring in as many as good ideas and to support them to develop into companies and startups. It's a very looks like a very different transition, but it's actually not. It's in our career we have been doing this stuff in different phases of our career. So when people ask me that you're doing like a chief manager job and you were a researcher and scientist, I tell them that this is what we have been doing. This is
Yeah.
what we have been trained for. Yeah, that
We
has been
always
going.
say that PhD trains you for the rest of your life. No matter where you go, what you do, you got all the training. Either it is administration, communications, research, obviously, and even
Yeah,
more than that. Like sometimes people like now with the technology changing, we have seen a higher rate of entrepreneurs coming out of their
yeah,
PhDs, either the spin-offs or the startups. So I believe that PhD trains you for whatever really you want to do. I want to
yes,
ask some
completely.
of the things like you have experienced, tasted a little bit of academic research in India, industrial research,
Mhm.
and then research
Yeah,
in Germany. Now back
yeah,
helping these brilliant ideas to come into existence. And if I understand the incubations, it's like the help to help them to convert their ideas to either a product or a service. So that is like directly
Yeah.
translational. So from
Yeah.
fundamental research to translational research, if like the students who are about to complete their PhD or someone who's an early career, what you can suggest them, that where they have this dilemma, that should they give little bit more to fundamental research or should they switch on the translational research?
So, thank you for this question because this is very important also for the student, as you just said. Um, See, once you do your masters, most of the different domains, how what are their uses, what are the disadvantages and applications also. So if you want to do, some translational research, which could be brought out as a product by yourself, if you start with a startup, or it's like a relay race, you reach up to a certain stage, and then you hand over the baton to, let's say, some industry. So you patent it and you do the technology transfer. If you're not, if you don't have the resources, just transfer it. As simple as that. And you focus on again, come back, take some other molecule, start and develop it again. So that's many labs they do it. So for such students, look for such labs. For example, specifically like CSIR labs, like IMTech Chandigarh, or in NCL Pune, for example, or in DBT labs also. Many of the labs now also, even the government are pushing them to generate their own revenues. I think since 2017 or 2016, the government has specifically been pushing them for right reasons also to sustain themselves. And NCL Pune has been sustaining themselves since so many years, actually. They generate like 300% of their expenses. So that's a very shining example. I keep giving this example. And there are many such institutes who have this potential also, and they're doing it well also. So what students should be looking at is what are the applications coming out, or the number of patents coming out, or what are the use cases from their previous PhD scholars when they are choosing a lab, for example. That will certainly give them an idea that whatever they work on, that could be put out as a patent, and later stage it could be done a technology transfer. And apart from that, even though it could be a fundamental research, fine, because the translational research is always dependent on fundamental research itself. So it's always somebody has done it 25 years ago, and now you're going to do it. And what I see in academia also, they're very willing to do translation research because it's good for them also. Government also supports them doing a spin-off. That's also fine. Government paid professor can easily do spin-offs, without much of a hassle. So it's a win-win for both of them. So for students, look for alumni who have done such work in those labs. That's one. Funding for sure, and also if they have some industry connections, their labs. So that helps a lot because many a times now this is happening also that some of the work from industry is being outsourced to academia also. Some of the pre-clinical research, if they would want to do some of the development work. So yeah, students should look for a good lab which has industry connections. Many times the boss also might have some industry connections, and if the research focus is towards that or not, because that is what I also chose. My boss, Dr. Jaikumar Kaushik. So he focused on proteins, and proteins have uses in all the pharma or biosimilars or bio pharma industry, and apart from that, even in normal situations also. So yeah, that's what one should look for. Yeah.
Great. So now, for like transitioning, like for the postdocs who are looking for various reasons or sometimes very desperately to come back to India, what is the best thing which worked for you? You have mentioned that, but now what, based on your experience and your peers' experience in there, what you can suggest them?
So I had tried few ways because I was trying, I think, since 2 years, not very seriously, but yeah, since 1 year I was very seriously trying to come back to India. There are many opportunities actually even now. They're less, but they are. So you have re-entry fellowships. So for any postdoc working outside India for more than 3 years, So DBT has, I think, Ramalingam Swami Fellowship. BST has Ramanujam Fellowship. Even ICMR has, not ICMR, but rather DHR. They also have a postdoc fellowship, although the seats are very less, maybe one or two in a year. So first try for a re-entry fellowship. I think DBT Welcome Trust India Alliance also has one of these postdoc fellowships. Some of the fellowships are also from specific institutes, like I think RCB or THSTI also has it in NCR. BHE also might have this. So they have their institute specific re-entry fellowships also, which you can come back, and there they give you like 3 to 5 years so that you can establish your own lab and you can have your PhD scholars. That is good enough time to have your network here. That's one. And also to establish this, it's like a foot in the door, that once some vacancy comes there, so you can be absorbed there. But that's an academic route. Of course, the number of academic positions are less. So then comes the second route. If you are skilled enough, and of course, in your postdoc and in your PhD also, you develop a lot of skills. You have already in your postdoc, you have already handled few projects, and you have handled teams, for example, small and big teams. So you have project management skills also, and grant writing also, because many of the industries now writing grants to get it from funding agency like BIRAG. So that's the another thing which you should look at, that use the skills to come also to industry. Keep applying to them. That's one. Meet them in conferences also, because then don't work in silos. So try to understand what the industry also wants, what your employer wants basically. So in academia you get that training, yes, fine. But in industry they have a different mindset and different way of working, and that connect has to happen if you want to get a job also in industry. So that networking, keep doing it also from from industry. In many conferences you can meet them. So that's a second thing. Third thing is, if you want to transition, so many of them become science communicators. They're liking it, like you're doing yourself, for example, in a way, and successfully so. um, so science communication, that's a whole art, but we do it for sure. But many of the researchers are not very comfortable in that. So if you're comfortable, find your niche, and there's ample space available for you to justify it. It could also be in the publication space, for example, because even till now we do not have very good magazines which are communicating it to the school children, or even to the graduate BSc and MSc students. For the science wise, there are only few, you can even name them, about 2 or 3 ones. And apart from that, like one which I am doing, so specifically in India, also in Germany, so there has been a lot of focus not on the traditional jobs but rather on startups. So of course startups have a very high failure rate, but they also have intense vigorous potential for growth. And being a PhD and having some postdoctoral experience, for example, and having a project management experience in this postdoc and PhD, you are very well suited to open your own startup. And as you are also mentioning, many of the PhD holders, they are doing spin-offs. They are part of the startup ecosystem now. So that's also a very good way to use your skills. And apart from that, so as I was just mentioning earlier, personally also for me, that of course these positions will not be many, but facilitators for startups is also a very highly technically demanding work, which is actually coming up in THST. I think they had this position, similar position like this. There are many center of excellence being opened across India. Actually, there are a few of them already, but there are many which are being opened also from FSSAI, which is the Food Regulatory Authority of India, actually. And there are many national food laboratories and reference labs. So their PhD holders, postdoc, people having some, some experience, they will be directly useful there. So we should keep an eye out for that, and do keep applying for your academic jobs if you like to go that route. Private universities are always a very good option. So being in LPU, that was an eye-opening thing for me. That private universities are a reality for today. You cannot discount them. as simple as that. They do pay well, actually. They actually pay well, and I don't know. There is a bad perception about them for some reason. Yeah, that they are not academically that much, well and all. But that is upon the students. That's one, and the teacher. So if you think, oh, they are bad or they're bad, you do your stuff well, as simple as that, and you will certainly find good students there. So that I'm telling from my, own personal experience. So yes,
Absolutely,
we have
well
many
explained.
good options to transition for sure.
Always. We always say that there is nothing called bad student. A teacher can be bad, but students are always like you have to understand them and then train them well. Yeah. So with this, we'll say that if any of the researcher from audience want to contact Dr. Siddharth Singh, please feel free. So if you want Empowering Science Foundation to put you in touch with our researcher celebrities, we are there to help you, facilitate you. The only thing which we want from you is your commitment, your research passion, and if this is the thing which makes you happy, we are there to help you as much as we can. With this, too, for all the audience, on behalf of Empowering Science Foundation, I'll say thank you so much, Dr. Siddharth Singh, for sharing your journey and helping so many researchers along the line where they are going to transition.
Thank you. Thank you for this opportunity. It was really nice talking to you. And I hope I was a little bit helpful, to anyone who might be stuck at any stage of their career. And I will be, as you said, I'm very approachable. You can always reach out to me. You have my email ID. You can share that also in the description. And I will be happy to help in whatever way possible. And
Thank you so
as I
much,
said,
Dr. Singh.
feel free to come and meet us also when you visit Patna.
Yes,
We'll be very
thank you
happy
so
to
much,
have you.
Dr. Singh. And for all the audience, stay tuned for another episode of Researcher Celebrity.
Thank you.